Cracks are appearing in the edifice of the family of Europe. Finland boldly flips the bird to the EU's austerity measures, asserting its national interests and challenging the status quo. Let's see what Petri Orpo has to say. Hello and welcome to TFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm your host Vedika. Let's begin. The tremors of dissent ripple across Europe as both southern and northern nations find themselves subjected to the EU's stringent austerity measures. Following in the footsteps of Greece, Finland becomes the next victim of the continent's financial difficulties. Is this a hint that the European Union is becoming more fractured? Finland, once seen as a wealthy Nordic country, is now ignored by the EU. According to a recent assessment by the European Commission, Finland's public debt has been rising and is already above the acceptable level and 73% of its GDP. Finland's government must choose whether to accept the EU's proposed austerity measures or take a stand. And Finland has chosen to take a tough stance. The Petri Orpo-led Finnish government has shown defiance to the EU's mandated restrictions. In a thorough 250-page program, Finland requests that the nation's EU strategy be reviewed. They claim Finland supports greater spending within a fiscal framework that protects national interests and wants the EU to give priority to important concerns over minor ones. It also includes a glimpse of potential red lines and clear stance that Finland wants the EU to play big on big issues and small on small issues. According to the government, Finland is prepared to advocate for additional EU investments where it considers them important, but they should remain primarily within the budget. At the same time, the country's national interests must be identified and safeguarded. Regarding public finances, the EU must move from a recovery policy that increases the debt burden to a sustainable growth policy. Finland will also advocate for returning to the no bailout principle, where each member state is liable for its own debts. Furthermore, EU budget funding must be linked to the respect for the rule of law, and the EU must not turn into asymmetric income transfer union. The EU's recovery instrument must be seen as an exceptional one-off solution, not as a precedent. Finland will not accept repeating a similar arrangement or making it permanent, the government states. Additional funding or entirely new EU-level funding instruments will not be supported by Finland in the current situation. As we reflect on the 2008 financial crisis and Germany's subsequent imposition of austerity measures on Greece, the echoes of the past reverberate. Greece's opposition and the conflicting demands set off a fire that is still burning today. Finland is currently in a similar situation, questioning the wisdom of the EU dictating its obligations and seeing the measures as an infringement on its sovereignty. As the conflict between Finland and the EU heats up, it exposes the enduring differences inside the EU. Will Finland serve as a catalyst for change and end the austerity trap? Only time will tell. Finland's opposition to the EU's austerity policies reflects a rising unrest among member states. Questions regarding how to strike a balance between budgetary responsibility and national interests arise as the European Union begins to fall apart. Will Finland's resistance to the status quo spur other nations to do the same, or will it buckle under the weight of EU pressure? The actual effects of this daring act of resistance won't be apparent for some time.